Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. So for today's episode, I want to talk about another center that the Miami Heat could potentially target. And this person is not a free agent, so they're going to have to do it via trade. And that person that I think the Miami Heat should target as their backup center behind Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo should be the Phoenix Suns' Nick Richards. So let's talk about that in this episode and why the Miami Heat should consider trading for him to fill in that last roster spot and to fill in our biggest need, essentially, off the bench. So the Miami Heat, I think they desperately need someone as a backup center, as a traditional center as well. Right now, we have Bam and Kalel in our starting lineup with basically only Niko Jovic off the bench, or Jokic coming off the bench. He doesn't play as a big man. He plays more of a point forward kind of role, even though he is 6'10". And we need someone who is defensive minded, but also someone who could get rebounds. And we need someone with size that still matters. You need rim protection, rebounding, someone who can give Bam and Kalel a real rest without the defense collapsing and without being able to get rebounds on the defensive end. So that's where Nick Richards can enter the picture. He is turning 28 years old. He's from Jamaica, just like the Miami Heat's Norman Powell, who's going to be playing for Jamaica during the summer. So he can come in and get reunited with his teammate. And he's someone, who hasn't had a ton of opportunity, but he's been quietly developing into a very solid rotational big for the Charlotte Hornets before he got traded to the Phoenix Suns. So last season, played around 56 games across stints with both the Hornets first, then the Suns after the trade. Averaged about 9.3 points, 8.2 rebounds, 1 block per game. Shot 60%, which is good for a big, all in like 22 minutes. So pretty efficient production for a backup role player. And he is 7 foot. He's athletic. He does play with energy. He gives you that vertical spacing as a lob threat off of the bench, which we completely do not have in the front court. I mean, we have Kashad Johnson, but he's barely going to play, and he's not a center. Obviously, he's a small forward. So he is someone that the Heat can bring in that can play behind Kalel and Bam. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. You don't need to drive or draw any plays up for him. He thrives as a energy garbage man kind of guy, cleaning up the offensive glass, finishing around the rim with dunks, and defensively, not elite, not amazing, but he's a legit 7-footer who can contest shots, average the block a game. He can hedge on screens. He's not going to be able to guard on the perimeter, but he can protect the paint, and that's something that the Miami Heat needs for short stints. So the kicker is with Richards, he's on a very friendly contract on an expiring deal next season. He's only making $5 million on his final year of a deal, and that means if we can trade for him, that's low risk, high potential reward for a rental who fits perfectly into the Miami Heat's financial situation. And we could trade someone theoretically that's making more money. And like a Fontecchio, who's also on an expiring contract, might be someone who is the same age, but someone that can help the Phoenix Suns because they still have Devin Booker. Like they're still trying to compete to a certain degree. And they could use someone who could shoot. And Fontecchio is someone who's 6'8", who could spread the floor and who could shoot. And maybe they take that trade, and that's $8 million for $5 million. So we'd save $3 million as well. Just thinking on the top of my head, like someone with a low cost salary on our team that's also an expiring. So if he plays well, then you can try to re-sign him on a team-friendly deal next summer. So because the Miami Heat are going to have cap space. But even better, that $5 million cap hit makes the trade very doable, like I mentioned, and he could be a major rotational piece. And in terms of fit, he plays hard. He doesn't complain. He stays within his confines of his role. That's basically Miami Heat culture 101. He rebounds hard. He sets good screens, which is what we need off the bench. He runs the floor. And more importantly, he knows who he is. He's not trying to be something that he's not. Like he's going to protect the rim, dunk everything that he possibly can in the dunker spot, and give you reliable energy minutes every night off the bench. Miami has always succeeded with role players who know and embrace their identity and embrace their roles. And so for those wondering why would the Suns want to move him. The Suns are kind of in a blended rebuild, retooling, where they have added players like Mark Williams, who was also on the Hornets, who was Richard's former teammate, as their center of the future. He's young, and they also want to clear up playing time for other younger pieces. And they also drafted the center from Duke, Mala something, whatever his name is, with the 10th overall pick this past summer. So they have two centers right there. He's the third option. So he's not part of their long term plans. Getting a player for him, basically, that can help them space the floor, or maybe a second round pick. I don't know if we're going to offer that, but basically, they're going to probably let him go in free agency anyway. So why not try to add a player to get him into the system, see what you got from the Miami Heat for him? So for Miami, it's a low cost move, fills a real need. And if things don't work out, no harm, no foul. He's on a $5 million expiring deal. So I think you should go for it. Again, cheap, efficient contract. He could be a productive big, given 15, 20 minutes off the bench, who could possibly thrive in the Miami Heat system. He gives you size as a 7-footer, some athleticism, some rim protection, some toughness, energy, all the things you need behind Bam and Khalil Ware. So I don't think we should sleep on this one. I think the front office still needs to make one more move this offseason, and we definitely need to back up big. So let me know your thoughts on potentially trading for Nick Richards.